We're seeing the great renaissance of common sense in the United States start to sprout out of the ground just a little bit. Eric Adams likes what he hears from the incoming border czar, Tom Homan, and I think he likes what he hears from Donald Trump on the issue of the migrant crisis that we have in this country, the illegal immigration crisis. New York has been hit with over 200,000 migrants. We don't even know accurately what the number is. We're going to say in excess of 200,000 since the spring of 2022. And it has put a great financial strain on the city of New York, as well as a lot of other cities around the country. But we might as well start with New York, the biggest metropolitan area in this country. Putting the needs of illegal immigrants over the needs of tax-paying American citizens. And Eric Adams has had enough. Some very pointed words that he made just very recently about this. Let's go to Eric Adams, listen to what he had to say, and then we'll break it down for you.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the border czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens. I want you to all go back and Google Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Google what they said about those who commit crimes in our city and what they said in our country. They said those who commit crimes need to get out right away. That was their position. So this is not a new position, because in the state of in the era of cancel culture, no one's afraid to be honest about the truth. Well, cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of the city.
Cancel me. How refreshing is it to hear a mayor, a Democrat mayor in a blue city say, you know what? I'm ready to listen to solutions. I'm ready to listen to solutions to this problem that has been dumped on me by the Biden-Harris administration. All of these people flooding in, many of them criminals, gang members. We've seen these things going on. Shooting at police, rape, murder, crimes going on all around the country, not just in New York. And Eric Adams, how do we start to pivot back? How do the Democrats regain some type of a compass? One common sense Democrat at a time is how that happens. And Eric Adams, for whatever reason, there are people on the right that are jumping on him right now saying, well, he's got his own potential problems. He just wants Trump to pardon him. He wants to kiss up to Donald Trump right now. Hey, listen, what is right is right. Okay? And that's the frustration that I felt with some conservatives when they say that, well, you're not conservative enough. No, I am somebody who walked away from the Democratic Party because I was in search of common sense solutions to what, until a short time ago, used to be seen as a very, very simple issue if we're talking about immigration. Eric Adams says, listen to what Hilary Clinton said. Listen to what Barack Obama said. All right, well, let's take a trip in the Ricky Cobb Show time machine and go back to 2008 and listen to what the 2008 version of Hillary Clinton had to say about illegal immigration.
So I think we got to have tough conditions. Tell people to come out of the shadows. If they've committed a crime, deport them. No questions asked. They're gone. If they've been working and are law-abiding, we should say, here are the conditions for you staying. You have to pay a stiff fine because you came here illegally. You have to pay back taxes, and you have to try to learn English, and you have to wait in line.
That's the most quote-unquote far-right Republican shit that you're going to hear today. 2008, Hillary Clinton, Democratic Party stalwart, saying what is still true in 2024. You tell me what changed between 2008 and 2024. Why doesn't she still believe that? What happened to Chuck Schumer, who we've played on this program, making similar comments? What happened to Barack Obama, who is on the record all over the place, making similar comments? The Democrats used to get it. What changed? Did they all just lose their common sense all at once? Or did they decide that you can reshape an electoral map if you let enough people in the country and they feel beholden to you because you're the nice person that allowed them to skip right to the front of the line and enter your country and then get put up in a hotel and receive benefits? What do you think the answer is? Hillary Clinton just flipped 180 on an issue that is as simple as, no, you shouldn't come into the United States illegally. And if you do come into the United States illegally, you need to get sent back to wherever it is you came from, because we're a nation of laws and we have a process, and there are good people from all over the world that are trying to immigrate to the United States the right way. Eric Adams, with a healthy dose of common sense, and any smart conservative is going to welcome him with open arms, because you don't have to agree with somebody on 100% of everything to be able to work with them. Among other things that Eric Adams said is, I'm not going to be warring with the Trump administration. I'm going to be working with them. This is how an effective government looks. We've forgotten this. We've forgotten how to do it in this century, for the most part. But it used to be come together on the things that we can agree on and try to get something done for the good people of this country. I'll tell you right now, I would trade Chicago's mayor for Eric Adams in a New York minute. Brandon Johnson is a disaster. And the people of Chicago are wising up to this, and they're wising up to, why is it that we have all of these illegal immigrants who have flooded into Chicago as well, and it's coming at the expense of helping the actual legal citizens who live here? And at a city council meeting recently here in Chicago, Mayor Johnson got absolutely lit up by this very incensed citizen.
You told Trump you ain't gonna blink? Well, we ain't either. You ain't above the law. And where you gonna run to when Trump pours that Trump card out on you?
There's a 10-year prison sentence when you want to stand up here for those illegals.
You all sit up there and said you will not allow Trump to come in here and get these illegals. Yeah, you can smile. We're in $1 billion deficit. And you spent half of our money, half of that on illegals. You campaigned and doubled down that you would not raise property taxes. I ain't gonna do that. You campaigned, went around doing that. And here we are right now. You wanted to raise our taxes $300 million. They shut it down. Now we back here for $150 million. Okay. See, this is what we asking now. Since you want to crash out, some of y'all say y'all willing to go to jail for it. Trump, Tom Homan, make an example out this Negro right here first. Please come here first.
Multiple citizens at the city council meeting who have had it with this. They've had it. And at some point, the Democrats are going to have to let some of these things go, if only to protect their political futures. And that'll be the only thing that makes it happen. The Democrats will start to correct when enough Democrat politicians realize that they're going to have a hard time getting elected or maintaining their current office if they continue going down the path that they've been on. Because you can see now there are a lot of people who have probably been lifelong Democrats. I bet you that every citizen that we saw in that video talking to Mayor Johnson here in Chicago, I bet you that they're lifelong Democrats who have had enough, who have reached the point, as I did, as Eric Adams seems to be. And let's face it, it's John Fetterman seems to be in a lot of the things that he says publicly. And if John Fetterman is being as unfiltered publicly as he is, imagine what John Fetterman says in private, because he's definitely holding back. But you can see that the connections are being made with a portion of sensible people who are on the left, who are good, reasonable people who have been Democrats throughout their lives, who are just seeing now that their party has just gone off the rails. And here's the thing that I would like to remind my old party. You lost this election, the popular vote. You got swept in all of the battleground states. Kamala Harris performed worse than Joe Biden in all 50 states. And amazingly, most of all, Kamala Harris failed to flip one county that Joe Biden didn't win. She didn't put one extra county in the Democratic column, and she lost other counties. She's the most disastrous candidate that the Democrats have run. But the thing of it is she wasn't even really running on her own ideas. She was running on the ideas that she was being fed by the power brokers. And the American public has rejected us. We are not all crazy. You can't play the weird card. Remember when they tried to say, the Republicans are just weird. They're so weird. Now we're the majority. We're the majority now. The people who voted to push back against bizarre policies like let's let illegals pour into the country in record numbers. Roughly somewhere on the order of 10 times as many people entering this country illegally under the Biden-Harris administration as did so under the Trump administration. You tell me who that profits. Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Libertarian, some motherfucker out there who's never voted and doesn't know anything about politics. You'd think that we could all agree that the United States of America should prioritize the needs of Americans, of people who see money coming out of their paychecks, people who live here, who play by the rules, who try to do the right thing, and are watching Venezuelan gangs come into the country and take over apartment complexes in places like Aurora, Colorado. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Why is this hard? 2008, Hillary Clinton got it. I bet you everybody that was voting for Obama or Hillary or any Democrat in 2008 or 2012 for that matter, or probably 2016 would have said, oh yeah, of course, we don't need illegal immigrants pouring into the country in record numbers, causing all kinds of financial strain on this country and making it more difficult for our government to serve the needs of the people. I hope that more good-intentioned, sensible Democrats like Eric Adams will come to the forefront and say, hey, this isn't even really a political issue. This is a common sense issue of what is in the best interest of my constituents. So common sense is on the rise in this country. It'll be nice if it gets to Chicago and some other places as well. But I think it's coming. Maybe not as fast as we would like, but the pendulum is swung in the United States of America. Caitlin Clark. Ronnie, let's just go ahead and bring in the international streaming star. It's like the bat signal has been sent out for this man.
WNBA
News,
WNBA
Ron.
talk?
I'm telling you, dude, I can't sit here and talk about the WNBA without bringing you in to get your analysis of this. Caitlin Clark, Ron, the tickets to the Indiana Fever home opener right now, the cheapest ticket to get you into the building to see Caitlin Clark, $271. And as the tweet here says, that's more expensive than 29 of the 30 NBA teams' home opener lowest priced ticket. That's pretty impressive. I'm going to give you one more here, Ron, before I get your thoughts. A valuation expert estimates that Caitlin Clark has generated somewhere on the order of 36 million extra dollars of revenue for the city of Indianapolis since she was drafted by the Fever last year. Hasn't even been a year. And the quote here, the numbers are so staggering, they don't even seem real. That's the Caitlin Clark effect, Ronnie. What do you think year 2 is going to look like?
I think that the haters in the WNBA, I think they're going to have some time during the offseason to think about the things that they said, the things that they did, and realize that it's not that bad having Caitlin. I mean, we talked about this before. I mean, it's kind of the Tiger Woods effect, right? Like the PGA just completely changed when Tiger Woods came onto the scene, right? And I think that they're going to. I think the hate's not going to be there anymore. Well, it'll still be there, but I don't think it's going to be as bad. I think they're going to realize that she is, in fact, driving the WNBA right now, because let's face it, we wouldn't be talking about this right now if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. Still, just like every other episode that we've done, we wouldn't be talking about the WNBA if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, correct?
We would absolutely not be talking about the WNBA. Ever. Probably. That entire league was in the FBI witness protection program for about 30 years. And now suddenly it's mainstream. And look, money, you got to look at money. Things get hyped and people talk about this and the other. But where people are willing to spend their hard-earned dollars tells you a lot about how popular someone really is. And the fact that it's $270 just to get in that arena for a women's basketball game it's remarkable, Ron.
Why wouldn't they put it like in excuse me, why wouldn't they put it in Lucas Field if the demand is that high?
Well, I can't answer that, Ron, but I mean, I'm sure that they never considered the possibility of playing in the Pacers arena.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw you
play at the Garden in Boston this year, by the way.
I'm going to throw you for a little. I'm going to throw you for a little loop right now. I'm going to drop some women's basketball knowledge on you. I know Tim went to the UConn game last night. Producer Tim went and saw UConn women's basketball last night.
Tim and his boys just rolling in to watch Paige
Buckets. Yep, Paige Buckets. But there's a girl that plays for USC. I crap on women's basketball a lot, I'll admit it. And sometimes probably a little harsher than I should. But there's a lot of women's basketball individual players that I just find unwatchable. I just think their skills are atrocious. There is a girl, a woman, that plays for USC. Are you familiar with her?
Why do you hate women, Ron?
Are you familiar with Juju Watkins at USC?
I have never seen her play, but I am aware of the hype.
She's ridiculous. Like, she's ridiculous. Like, when she plays, she looks like a guy when she shoots. Because that's a lot of the time when I have problems with women in basketball is they push the ball, they have these weird hitches in their layups. It just doesn't look natural to me. Juju Watkins last night, 9 for 11 from 3. She had 40 points in 32 minutes. Like, she is an absolute baller. Might be better than Caitlin Clark. You heard it here, December 4th on the Ricky Cobb Show. Juju Watkins better than Caitlin Clark.
That's a bold statement. I will reserve judgment on the statement because I haven't seen her play. But that's what they need. See, Angel Reese has been a great villain. Even if she's not sure whether she wants to be the villain or not, she has provided the league with the Bill Laimbeer figure. But she's not really that great of a player. She's a good player. But she's got lots of flaws in her game. She can barely dribble. She shot under 40%, even though she's taken all of her shots from inside of 10 feet. She's an outstanding rebounder, but again, as we said, her rebound totals they're inflated because she can't hit she couldn't hit water if she fell out of a boat. But
there she is. Look at Juju.
We need another 2 or 3 or 4 players that are closer in talent to Caitlin, right?
Absolutely.
You need,
absolutely.
If Paige Buckets makes the transition and becomes a dominant type player. That would be very helpful. Juju Watkins, who you're saying is on par with Caitlin Clark, possibly better than Caitlin Clark.
She's so good.
That's bold praise, but I need to see her play. But that's what the league needs, so that there's somebody that's just stepping up. Because if Angel Reese wasn't perceived as a mean girl, nobody would care, because she's not more than a fraction as good as Caitlin Clark talent-wise. So I don't know how far that rivalry can really go. The reason that Bill Laimbeer was like such a rival to the Celtics is partly because he had Isaiah Thomas and some great teammates, but it was because he was this villainous guy, right? Yeah, he had some Hall of Fame teammates, Rodman as well, but he was a big deal. I mean, and Bill Laimbeer was a good player. He was. I mean, he fulfilled his role more than adequately, but he wasn't an elite player. The WNBA needs some more elite players, and maybe Juju Watkins can serve that. Ronnie, let's just go ahead and empty the bag on things that get on your nerves. We've covered the WNBA now. No, I don't. Hey, I didn't bring up The View today. No.
What else? What else bothers me?
I'm just telling you, Ron, I didn't bring up The View. Don't blame me today.
I'm just guessing what bothers me.
Smelt it, dealt it here. Jemele Hill. I have Jemele Hill here.
All right.
Jemele Hill, let's just go ahead to the tape and listen to Jemele Hill's thoughts on the Kamala Harris campaign.
So, yes, I take the reelection of Donald Trump quite personally because of the person themselves, but also as a Black woman. And that is because I think for a lot of Black women, we can relate to Kamala Harris just in the sense of some of us have been in that position before where we felt qualified, if not overqualified in many respects. And for a lot of Black women, even though we should not internalize it this way, it felt like a particular rejection of some of the things that we've been fighting for, or it felt like a particular rejection of sort of our place and how we're seen in this society. And I don't think it's by any accident that both of Trump's presidential victories have been against women. Hilary Rodham Clinton, of course, in 2016, and now in Kamala Harris, because some of those same tropes have come up in both elections. And so it does make you wonder at what point, I hate to use the word ready, but at what point will America be ready for a woman to be in that role? I think it's a question we have to ask ourselves. Is like, what is it going to take? Because I see all this post-election autopsies trying to box around what I think was pretty obvious about how racism and misogyny were driving a lot of the coverage, the opinions, and even how the electorate saw Kamala Harris. And so,
all right, I'm going to say this as clearly as it can be said. Kamala Harris, first of all, overqualified for what? Kamala Harris is overqualified for what exactly? She was the worst general election major party presidential candidate of my lifetime, and that includes George McGovern, who won one state and the District of Columbia. It includes Walter Mondale, who won one state and the District of Columbia. She was the worst candidate put forth by either party, and that's why she lost. She didn't lose because she was a woman. She didn't lose because she was Black or because she was Asian or whatever you want to say. She lost because she was a hysterically. Well, maybe that's a Freudian slip that's actually better than what I was going to say. She lost because she was a historically and perhaps hysterically bad candidate who did not demonstrate a grasp of the issues, who could not put together a coherent message, who couldn't even go on The View and take the softballs that they were lobbing her and do anything with them at all. That's why she lost. And if you want to lie to yourself and tell you that it was an identity thing, because again, these Democrats, they all keep going back to the identity politics.
It's just lazy.
She must have lost because she was a woman. Hey, listen, I voted for a woman for president, and I have voted for a black person for president in my lifetime. Okay? I got no problem voting for a woman. I got no problem voting for somebody who's not white. And I have already, in fact, done it in both cases. All right? I have put my vote where my mouth is. I don't vote in terms of anything other than where you stand on policy and how I evaluate your competency to be prepared to do that job. And I think that I speak for the vast majority of Americans when I say that, Ron. It's diluted to look at the failures of this campaign on just about every level for the Democrats and the disaster that Kamala Harris was when they anointed her and put her out there and the media built her up. We had the whole big rolling out, and then as she talked, the worse and worse and worse it got for her. Had nothing to do with being a woman, had nothing to do with her race. And the Democrats are going to have to get serious about understanding the real reasons that they were rejected. They were rejected because they ran a really shitty candidate who was underqualified for the job.
It's so lazy. It is just so lazy to always play the race card and the woman card. Like, Harris was dumb and annoying, and Hillary Clinton was evil and unlikable. That's why they didn't win. It wasn't because they were women. It wasn't because Kamala was, part black, part Indian. Like, that didn't. There's some people out there, of course. There's a couple dumb people out there that make decisions that way, and those people are dumb. But that's not why they didn't win. They didn't win because of what I just said. I mean, throw somebody up there like Condoleezza Rice, Tulsi Gabbard. There has to be other ones that are evading me right now, but they didn't not win because of being black or being a woman. It's because of unlikable characteristics. And I'm just so tired of these people getting airtime with their lazy comebacks to why things didn't happen.
Well, there's a lot of it, dude. There's a lot of that. Ron, let's talk about Hunter Biden here. Let's lighten the mood a little bit. Things are bad for the Democrats when I'm bringing in Hunter Biden to kind of like lift the spirits of the show here a little bit. Get this. Hunter Biden's former landlord alleges that he owes over $300,000 in unpaid rent, and that, Ron, are you ready for this? I don't know if you're ready for this, but I'm glad you're sitting down, because his former landlord alleges, this is a direct quote here from this article, he tried to pay his rent with art that he made from his own feces. What the fuck does that mean? It's not just that he attempted to pay for it with his own artwork. The article says art that he made from his own feces.
Okay, so here's the question. Was he using his fecal matter as a paint, or was he using it more as like a clay and he'd made like a sculpture? Like, did he make an ashtray? Did he take it, dip his finger in it and then just draw? How did he use the fecal matter? That's, I guess, what I want to know.
And did he think that he fashioned it into a crack pipe? Ron, is what Tim says. Have you ever tried to make a crack pipe from your own feces? It's a hell of a thing. I can only imagine. I've never done that myself, Ron. But and the guy's asking the question. Okay, is that pardon now? Have I just been fucked out of my $300,000? The guy also alleges that Hunter Biden changed the locks and had the Secret Service enforce this. So the guy's basically just squatting in this place. He's run up this massive bill. It couldn't have been a cheap place. You know that Hunter Biden wasn't staying in a regular place.
It's $300,000, so of course it was. I'm just picturing.
So now that's just pardon. That Joe Biden was just like, yep, fuck you. You should have taken the poop art.
The poop art.
And they wonder why we got a problem with Joe Biden doing this. It's okay. I mean, like in the simplest terms, forget about the felony tax evasion. Forget about the gun charges. Forget about Burisma even for a minute. How about just this poor motherfucker that's been screwed out of $300,000, but, somehow because Trump is going to be, putting people before the firing squads or whatever it is, that the Trump derangement sufferers believe is going to happen, it justifies everything. You can fuck over anybody any way that you want to now, just simply because, hey, Trump is bad, so Biden had to do it. Fuck that. This is awful. And if you would say that it was awful if the other party did it, you need to have the intellectual honesty to say that it's awful when your own party does it. And that applies to both sides. You got to give credit where credit is due, and you got to call out bullshit where you see it. And we have way too much in this country of excusing whoever it is that we're rooting for and, just going to the mat to try to destroy somebody if we think they're in our out group, Ron. We've got to get around that, and that's why I'm encouraged that we see people like those folks in Chicago standing up to the mayor.
By the way, you need to get her on the show. You need to get her on the show.
I'm
She's
telling
awesome.
you. Yeah, when I said this citizen, I was referring to the last lady who was fired up. We didn't even show the entire clip.
No,
but
I need her as a guest.
She came in there just fed the hell up. Ron, I don't know. Do we have a tweet, Tim? We've been tweetless in this program so far, Ron. I am a comedian, some would say. And do you remember this? Speaking of feces, Ron, how about this piece of shit? This game. Did you ever play this? Waterful ring toss. Hours of fun just trying to catch those rings as they floated around. Kids today couldn't possibly understand, Ronnie.
I had that game. I had the, what other one? I had the basketball one too, where you tried to get the basket into they had the little hoops in there with the little basketballs. Did you have that one?
That one was better, actually. Yeah, that one was actually better.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.